Welcome, guys, to the Houston Dynamo pregame show with Glenn Davis. Real quick, guys, first, be sure to like, share, subscribe to our Facebook, our Twitter, our Twitter X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Glenn Soccer Matter Show. Post a lot of interviews and stuff on there as well. Let's go ahead and get us started as the Dynamo take on Toluca.
Yeah, so a couple of things. This week we did an interview with Lawrence Sonali, so I hope you get a chance to hear that. I think you'll be really interested in that one. We're looking down at the stadium here to my right. The Dynamo are warming up. Over to our left is Toluca. Now, Toluca, by the way, is unbeaten in Mexican League play. And tonight come in here coming off a 3-1 victory over Chicago. I don't think Chicago's the best of teams, and a 2-1 victory over Sporting. Scored 5 goals. So a little bit about Renato Pava's team. He's a Portuguese head coach. It's a team that puts a lot of numbers into the attack. There will be no Tarbell tonight. It'll be back, Chris, to Steve Clark in goal. And the reason being, and I spoke to Ben Olsen about this, simply that was to get 90 minutes for Tarbell to keep him sharp. He did say, though, that Andrew Tarbell is the goalkeeper of the future here. So there you go. Is the Moroccan available, Amin Bassi? Amin Bassi, well, let me just read you the starting lineup here. Yeah, he's starting. So it's Steve Clark in goal, everything the same at the back. Entire team's the same except for Steve Clark from the last game. So it's Franco Escobar, it's Dorsey, the 2 wide men, Mikhail, Sviatchenko will be in the middle, Hector, Artur, Latif Blessing, Aliou will get the start again. Up front will be, once again, Ezekiel Ponce. Amin Bassi's in the starting lineup as well, so that's got you covered right there. Thiago Volpe is in goal. So here's Toluca. Thiago Volpe is in goal. By the way, this guy takes a lot of penalties. He's scored a lot of goals in his career. Brian Garcia is the right back. Bruno Mendes, Luau, the Brazilian who played at Vasco da Gama, the center back. Jesus Gallardo, everybody knows him from the Mexican national team. His time at Monterrey, he must have played over 200 games at Monterrey. Ruiz and Baeza, a Chilean, is Baeza. He's the captain, good player. Those two will hold it down in midfield. I don't know if they're superiorly athletic, but they're very smart. Jesus Angulo's the playmaker. He's got 2 goals to lead them. You got Araujo, and Alexis Vega's getting a start tonight, which is pretty interesting. Played at Chivas. This is his second go-round at Toluca. He's had some discipline problems in his career, but he has been a Mexican international 30-plus times. So that's interesting. And then Paulinho's up front. Now, this is a guy who played in Portugal. He's never really made it with the Portuguese national team, a couple of caps, but he comes back to the ball. He's got some different things about him, and they will commit a lot of teams into the attack. So there you go. If you expected Anali to get the start, no chance. That's not changing yet. I think he'll get a start at some point because you do have to find out what he looks like from word 1 minute to 90 and playing under different conditions. Remember, he's been brought into 2 games off the bench. He's exceptionally explosive. He's a great dribbler. But I think we also have to just slow it down a little bit when you think of it in the context of Ben Olsen. Ben Olsen's very happy with Aliou with what he does defensively. So just remember that in the context of a defending team first. So when I say, it's easy to look at that game and see some great moments from Anali and be really excited, just like I am. But you have to think of it from the standpoint of a coaching standpoint and a staff. Okay, what do you got?
2 things real quick. First one I'll ask you, do you think the heat plays a factor tonight? Right now it's feel like of 104.
Yeah, I do want to tell you something. Renato Paiva, who is the head coach of Toluca, I thought it was a little bit strange. He came out really talking about how hot it is here, how it's hard to breathe. I don't know if he's posturing in a way to, send some kind of a message. But I will say this, in Toluca, it's in the high 60s, and it goes down to the high 40s at night because Toluca is at altitude. So This will be definitely a physical test for them tonight. I don't think there's any question, but he made it very clear in the press conference that the heat and the ability to breathe here was a bit of a struggle.
I actually got more questions than I thought I had for you tonight, Glenn. Let's see. Also, real quick, guys, do me a favor. Like and share this to your personal pages. Let's grow this thing. Get some more eyes on this show.
Yeah, 24 people. We want you're 24 special people, but we want to make this worthwhile.
Yeah.
Any questions out there for you guys? Shoot them to us. We'll banter them about back and forth. Thanks for tuning in. I do want to remind you, Monday and Wednesday, Soccer Matters next week. There's an announcement everybody knows coming up. Chivas will play Club America here in a Super Classico game in October. It's kind of slipped out in the media. So there's a lot going on in Houston. And I will also say in the League's Cup, attendance has not been great. Okay, and there's a lot of reasons, I believe, for that. I don't know what you think. I would love to hear what you guys think. But number one, first of all, a lot of these dates are strange days, Mondays and things like that, some extended later times. You've had the Euros. You've had Copa America. You have the Olympics. There's a tremendous amount of competition and saturation. There is also the challenge of, honestly, I don't really want to watch two MLS teams again in the League's Cup. This tonight, I want to watch. I want to see the Dynamo against a good Toluca, a different team, a team that commits a lot of people in attack, a team that's going to give you opportunity in transition. And I don't know if the Dynamo are a good enough transition team yet with only Aliou on the field. If Aliou and Anelli were on the field, maybe so. Attendance, I would say, is not looking good. There's a nice pocket of Toluca fans. If I look to my right up in there, they always put them up there. Toluca Dallas is up there. You know the cool thing about them too? They bring these great banners, and they kind of state their town. So I don't know. What the attendance doesn't look great right now, but I hope I'm surprised here. How do you think we'll fare? I'm predicting a Dynamo win tonight here. I think this is a very challenging team. I think it's a different team. But I think it's one that potentially could turn into a game where a lot of goals are scored. If you get an early goal and Toluca comes in to play like they've played in the first two games, and that is open, committing people into the attack. If they're a little bit more conservative because of the heat and the weather, if we're following the lead of their head coach, Renato Paiva, then maybe this becomes a one-goal type of game, which also is not bad for the Houston Dynamo. They're good in these tight games.
You alluded to them, overcommitting to the attack a little bit. Who's the danger man for Toluca?
Paulinho up front is one certainly to keep an eye on. Jesus Angulo, the number 10, is crafty. He's got a pair of goals. We also have you got two really good holding midfielders with Baez and Ruiz. I want to see what Alexis Vega is going to do in a starting role. I don't think he started a game in the League's Cup yet, so you might get some differing motivation out of him here tonight, and I think that's something to keep an eye on. And then Maxi Araujo has a pair of goals as well. So they've got a number of very talented players that can get goals from different areas.
How should the Dynamo look to attack that overcommitment from Toluca? Or exploit it, sorry.
So you got to recognize when they're overcommitted. You got to hit your midfield early. You might even have options to bypass your midfield and go in transition and get behind them. I would test them with that. I would hit a few longer balls early just to let them know that you're capable of that, which may make them a little bit more conservative. But a lot of this is about recognizing moments to attack in transition or to counter in a really quick way. And a lot of that is about recognizing the moment as a team, being good at recognizing it, and then, of course, you have to execute.
I did want to touch on Corey Ross' part. So Toluca did have a pretty good spell of championships through the 60s, or late 60s, early 70s, or mid-70s, I should say. A little bit again in the late 90s, early to mid-2000s.
So hold on right there, because late 90s, Corey, you remember Vicente Sanchez in the late 90s, early 2000s. Yep. Vicente Sanchez and Jose Cardoso, who was a Paraguayan. He scored a sick amount of goals, Cardoso. They were a great 1-2 punch in Mexico. They were one of the great sort of duos that were playing in the league at the time. It's an old club. What's it go back to, 1917? Might even be later.
Yes,
than
they
that.
were founded in 1917.
Yeah, so it goes way, way back. They play at altitude. They used to not have lights in their stadium, and I went to dinner last night with Marcelo Balboa. You guys will know him as the U.S. men's national team guy. He's a great friend because we did about 6 years on TV together. And he told me about, I asked him about Toluca and playing there. Back then, they didn't even have lights in the stadium. They play at 11 o'clock in the morning or noon. And they still do that, apparently, but they do have lights now. So, no, club with a lot of history, third all-time in titles behind Club America and Chivas. So, I mean, that might be a good trivia question because I'm not sure everybody would get that. In fact, I didn't until I started doing a little research on them.
Vicente did have 166 all-comp appearances, 96 goals with Toluca.
And he was a setup man, too.
Really quick, what do you attest so far to Liga MX versus MLS? Right now, MLS has 20 wins to Liga MX's 11.
Yeah, not surprising. Some crazy results last night. I don't know. I fell asleep, but I saw San Jose. I thought I was dreaming, actually. Actually, maybe I was asleep, but I saw San Jose score like 4 goals in 30 minutes against Necaxa. And every time I'd like start drowsing off, I'd hear the guy on TV yell a goal. I mean, look, it's not the perfect scenario when it comes to, overall, I don't know if fairness is the word, but setting up a competition that's equal, right? Because you can't make the money doing this tournament in Mexico, right? That said, it's great branding for them. Their fans come out, in a lot of places. I mean, we had 46,000 for Tigres. And I would say 44,000 of those were Tigres fans. I mean, that was an unbelievable game. If there was ever a game we could have put kids in front of, that was the day to do it because of the engagement of the crowd and the quality of the game. The fans were there for the players. They're not there for any other nonsense. They're wearing old school throwback jerseys. It was really fair. So you just heard Justin on the results side. I think the MLS teams are doing great. And I think, look, this is a lot different than back in the day with the Dynamo. Back in the day with the Dynamo in Pachuca and some of those great games we saw in Superliga, Mexican clubs looked down on U.S. clubs. They did when I played. I mean, I played and chased around Garcia Aspe for about 90 minutes when he was on Pumas. And it's completely different now. I think that the leagues are so much closer now. I like stylistically the difference that the Mexican clubs bring to this. So do I want to watch a Minnesota United game against the Colorado Rapids tonight, or do I want to watch a Dynamo Toluca game? And that's not a hard choice to make at all. So I think MLS is doing well. That's because of the acceleration, the growth of the league, the quality of the teams and players now. The gap has been narrowed.
We do talk about the attendance, with the good crowd at NRG the other night. What do you think was the reasoning behind the Tigres Pachuca game last night and the really low attendance in Austin?
Because I don't think Austin, well, first of all, obviously the Tigres fans can't travel everywhere every time. It was all their fans.
Yeah.
But I don't think Austin has proven to me that it is an international soccer city from the standpoint of coming out for international competition between two teams that don't include Austin FC. They had good crowds for the Pumas Monterrey games, which were historic wins for that club. But I think on that standpoint, no, every international game that they've had there that does not include Austin FC fans, they've not done very well. And I mentioned that on Austin radio once, and they wanted to cancel me out. and it was like, guys, I said that the MLS product is as healthy and is the most healthy MLS product in Texas, but that you don't show for international soccer. Maybe that changes in the future. I don't know why I was going to be canceled, but they wanted to crush me.
There's a good question here from Mike Bear. How important is it for the Dynamo to win and get another game to not have 2 weeks off?
Yeah, that is an interesting question. I think teams, it can be a win-win both ways, I think. But I personally would like to see the Dynamo try to win this tournament. I would like to see them keep this going. I think training as opposed to playing games, I think there's a fatigue factor and a workload factor either way. I'd rather be playing games and trying to win a tournament.
I almost feel like it's the reverse of like the Champions League, where MLS teams are really only like 2-3 matches in their season when the Champions League starts.
Yeah.
And now Liga MX is 4 games into their season.
I don't think that makes
No?
it. Yeah, it wouldn't. I mean, at what point? What's the cutoff? Do they
Yeah.
have to have 15 to be ready? I mean, they've got
Yeah.
4 games in the preseason behind them. It's not like they're coming in and it's their first game like MLS teams have to play. I mean, remember Austin FC after that great season? They go down to Victory in Haiti and they get beat.
Yeah.
So, anybody else, guys, before we go here?
Got about 21 minutes till kickoff.
Anything else you want to talk about? We'll come back after the game if you guys like. But again, the Dynamo lineup tonight doesn't change except for Steve Clark goes back into goal for Andrew Tarbell. And everything else is going to stay the same tonight. I'm looking for another big performance from Hector Herrera leading the way. It was great to see him get around the box, get a goal and an assist in the last game. By the way, the Ezekiel Ponce goal was reversed to an own goal, so he didn't get his opener. So he's still waiting to get his first. But that said, he made the play to get to the near post and put a defender in a position to have a ball deflect off him and go in and be considered an own goal. So the run he made there, I think every game he's played a little bit better. I know there's mixed feelings about him out there, but it's this system being as condensed as it is, not the most sort of wide-oriented attack. It makes it tough on a number 9, whether it's Ferreira, whether it's him. He's got to play with his back to goal a lot. The width you get from Dorsey comes late, and it allows defenses to settle on you. So we'll see.
That was one of the
Chris says Ponce is going to get it tonight. I hope so.
That was one of the better games from Hector Herrera so far this season. He looked a little more energized.
Well, I think that's going to – listen, if the Dynamo are going to truly make a run and try to win an MLS Cup, he's going to have to elevate his game in the final. I don't know what it is, maybe 10 games that the Dynamo have, 11 games. I see Jose. Thanks for the – why haven't we seen an Ollie? I'll tell you straight from the horse's mouth, Ben Olsen, because he likes what Aliu's been doing. He mentions especially on the defensive side. Look, he's only been here for 2 games, so I think there's patience in integrating him. But he looks very, very good coming off the bench. Now, remember, he's coming off the bench in 90-degree weather against very fatigued players. I'm not taking anything away from him. Don't get me wrong, because I think he can do that from minute 1 to 90. But I am really interested to see him get a start when everybody's fresh. But I did an interview with him, man. That kid, he is fun. He's energetic. He's just what this team needs. He's giving it a boost, I think. You got to think it's helping out in the locker room. And, you know, this time of the year in this league, I haven't played professional soccer here, of course, not in a stadium like this. But when you're going to training every day in this heat, you're almost like in a haze at times. And you need other stimulus. And I think adding 2 players like this is stimulus. Releasing a player could be stimulus. There's all kind. I remember one of our guys on our team got released, and it was just sad seeing the guy pack his car and drive away, and it kind of woke everybody up. Like, okay, somebody could be next. So anyway, Ben Olsen has really liked what Aliu has done defensively, and having watched Aliu, like when the Dynamo were attacking this way from our booth, Aliu is right in front of us. I can tell you he's come back and really, really helped Escobar double people up, get a second defender around people, including, what's his name, Andreas Gomez of Real Salt Lake in the last game. So he's diligent. He's a little bit more powerful, but he doesn't, at this moment, look as dangerous in attack, that's for sure. But I don't know if it's a like-for-like comparison yet.
Guys, please make sure after the final whistle, shortly after the final whistle, you guys come back here. We'll have all your post-game reaction. When we do go live, do us a huge favor. Share that video, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the above, Twitter X, whatever they want to call it nowadays. We got about 17 minutes till kickoff.
All right. So speaking of stimulus, by the way, Thiago Volpe in goal. I'm looking at the scoreboard. He has 15 goals off penalty kicks for Toluca. Okay. In his career. So he's one of these Brazilian goalkeepers that takes penalties or free kicks sometimes. But speaking of stimulus, I'm looking for a boost from you guys. Whether it's recruiting other people to start listening, I don't want to get into details, but a lot of times I feel a little bit like a Lone Ranger. Not right now, because everybody's supporting, and I feel that. But I want to make this bigger. I don't want this to stay I want this to get bigger. So anything you can do to drive people to websites, to the Twitter account, call into shows, any of that stuff, the T-shirts, any of that stuff you can do. By the way, that all goes to a pediatric cancer charity, and I want to move more of them. We got orange and red in there because they weren't really moving lately, so I want to move them. So anyway, that's all. Anything you can do to help and suggest, okay? I take suggestions because there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of great ideas about soccer, and I learn from you guys as well when I do the show. So that's it.
Warning.
Okay.
All right.
I think that'll do it, right?
Also, I lost my train of thought. I had something I was going to say. Oh, well. All right.
James asked about the attendance. Yeah, attendance doesn't look good, guys.
No.
I hate to say it. Okay. We'll see you after the game. Let's hope it's a Houston Dynamo win. Looking forward to this one tonight against Toluca.
That's what it is. Winner will play the winner of Juarez and Colorado.
All right, the Rapids.
There you go. All right, thanks,
Listening while, hold on. Wrexham Texan. Listening while wearing my Soccer Matters T-shirt. Love it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.